I'll check this again in a minute. I'm going to I'm going to try not to talk as much. I know the last video I talked quite a bit at the front, but I needed to update everything. The only new updates that I have right now, let's see, what is new? So, and for the life of me, I'm sorry, I can't remember who posted it. It was on the Facebook group, I Am a Bookbinder. And this gentleman posted what was supposed to be a limp vellum binding, and it had this really cool, intricate folded case and a buttonhole sewing structure. And it could have been limp vellum. It looked like maybe another type of paper or imitation vellum, but I really liked what he had done, and I believe the little book was made from a class that he took. So I was looking at it, and I decided I wanted to try and figure out what exactly it looked like. So I'm going to, now that I see that it's streaming, I'm going to click over so I have my actual monitor so I can see what the composition is. Yeah, so this is the book, and I made a couple of them, and give you an idea, where did that template go? So this is the template. What do you think of that? And so the case is made out of one piece, and you can see like I got the buttonhole cut in here, one piece of vellum, and it's just folded in upon itself. So this is one that I made, and I really like the spots and everything on this particular vellum. And let's see, I open this up. Really nice on the inside, and if I backlight it, there you go. You can see the tabs there that are from the folded pieces. So what I'm thinking for you guys here on Patreon, maybe my next artist book, I will do a tutorial on how to create the template for this. Now, if you're going to be following along for that video at home, you do not have to use vellum. This stuff is pricey, several $100s per skin, and it's difficult to work with. It's got its own character. So even if you have vellum, I would recommend creating a template, making use cave paper or use folder stock. Anything but vellum on your first one or two, and you'll thank me for it. So this is one that I made. Now this is the case. It's obviously not sewn onto a text block, but to give you an idea, I know it's hard to see. So those tuck in there, and yeah, getting old sucks. So I can pull these out, and you can start to see that template take shape. And so I'm going to flip this around, push that back through the hole, and you can see how this all folds out. And of course you have the buttonhole, which needs kind of flap up. All right, so put this back together. Really fun book, really fun experience. I've made some limp vellum bindings, but never one quite like that. And the trick of it really is going to come down to laying this out. Now you can see I did all my trial and error on here, and when I made the first one, I used an imitation vellum paper, and I mean these tabs, I don't know if you can see that very well, and where the slots go. Now I've decided in the future I am going to use the slot that I made for the buttonhole, but I'm not going to use these slots that I put in for the tabs, because what I found, if you're really careful and you fold it perfectly, the tabs will line up. But if you're off just a little bit, then your tabs don't line up, and once you crease the vellum, there it is, but you're not going to know if it's exact until you crease it. So I've decided that when I do the tutorial on this, and the tutorial will be video tutorial from start to finish, there'll be a written tutorial with photos in it. So depending on how you like to learn, the information will be there with worded description, photo description, video, me working through it. We'll start from scratch. We'll lay out this template. I'll explain how I got all my spacing and how I determine where these go. But the only difference is I'm not going to cut these slits. I'm going to fold it, mark it, and then cut the slits by hand. But if you want to do this, I'll explain how I determine where these slits are going to go. And if you feel that you can fold everything perfectly, that'll work out for you. So I plan on I'm going to start shooting this probably the first week in May, and I hope to have it done and posted to Patreon by the last week in May. So something to look forward to. And it'll cover two different binding styles, because you can have a lip vellum binding, but I also will explain how to do a buttonhole binding. And if you're not familiar with buttonhole bindings, they end up in the category of artsy books, or what I consider market books. So here's a buttonhole binding that I did, and this one here features some paste papers that I made. Each signature has its own paste paper. The inside has its own paste paper that goes through the entire binding. And as you can see, you got your buttonhole, and this thing is they're really fun. So here's some of the paste papers that I included. We have plans to do a video exclusively on paste paper, and each year I do for City Gallery, I work their kids art summer camp, and this year, now that I understand how they function a little bit better, I'm going to, the first class will be making paste paper, the second will be making an X book, the third class will be making an X book with pockets, this is all out of the paste paper. And then if there's a fourth week, I may make a very simplified version of this button structure, but there won't be a paste down. They'll just be the outer cover will be a solid like cardstock, and we'll use some of the paste paper they made and make some signatures. So that is going to be fun. But what I'm excited about is teaching you how to do this. So that is my big update. Everything else that I announced in the last week, I know I missed Wednesday and I missed Sunday. I'm sorry. Here I am on Thursday for the makeup for Wednesday, which would have been the makeup for Sunday. And I plan on doing another shoot on Sunday to get back on track. Thank you. Thank you for bearing with me. So today I'm going to be making a clamshell box for this Bible. Now this is a Bible that I just restored. It's from 1814, and I don't know how well you can see, but along here, this was completely chewed down and rubbed, and a lot of the board was missing. So we built up the board. There's a video coming on how to build up board. Typically, it's usually done for corners, but I had to, there's a good 3-4 inches here that I had to build up, including that corner. So the video is going to be on the process for doing that. The other corners, I repaired them with some wheat starch, wheat paste, and some hanji, and then of course everything was dyed and blended. So, but this book, since the client has such an investment in it, we are going to make a clamshell case for it. So, I'm going to set this aside. Well, actually, no, I'm going to keep it over here. Because my day was already underway, I got started. And so I took my measurements, and I'm going to talk through this. And this sheet is based off of a worksheet that I got from Cornell University. And if you Google clamshell and Cornell or clamshell PDF, the Cornell worksheet will come up. And for a good, solid, basic, no frills case, this is a really good worksheet. You just print it out. It tells you, get this measurement, get this measurement, get this measurement, add this, that, and the other thing, and boom, you've got your height and your widths, and it'll talk about the cloth. So if you haven't made a lot of boxes, this is a really nice way of doing it. And if you've seen other videos where they cut the pieces out of bookboard and they're individual pieces and you glue them together, this is going to be a slight deviation from that because the inner trays are going to be cut out of this barrier board, and you only cut part way through, and then when you fold it up, it's already attached. So when you start gluing things together, your one seam is already attached. So, and you'll see what I'm talking about as I'm going through this. I don't plan on talking a lot through this because I'm already losing my voice. The one thing I do want to talk about when I switch over the camera, I'm going to talk about these numbers, how I got them, and so one thing I do want to point out, when I get these measurements, there's an actual tool, and it looks a lot like the little tool you'd measure your foot with, and it's wooden, and it has slides to it, and you put your book into the corner, and you do your little slides, and then you can get your measurements directly from there. I don't have one of those. I've always just taken a ruler, figured out, okay, this is bowed, this is my widest part, and I would go through, and I would eyeball it, and I would get some pretty dang close measurements. The bigger the book, the harder that becomes to do. So what I end up doing is I get some modern-made books, which are fairly square, and I put one perpendicular on the sides, I put one up to it, and I put my weights there, and then I measure between those book boards, and that gives me a fairly accurate measurement. So as I start talking about these, since I've already done it, and I've already put that other stuff away, that is the process that I used to get my measurements. And so kind of got you up to speed. I need to get a glass of water. Like I said, I'm already losing my voice. So I'm going to go get a glass of water. I'm going to switch the camera over to the desk camera, and hopefully it works really well. And okay, so then we're going to get started. right, my biblionautic chums. We're going to switch cameras over. Got a nice view of the boards and of the book. All right. So, my measurements, we'll talk through this. Let's see if you can see that all right. So my lower tray, I've got the height of the book, and then I have 2 times the thickness of the book. The thickness of the book is 94. Ignore these plus 2s, I'm not going to do that. Now this is in millimeters. So the 0.4 is 0.4 centimeters, so that's 4 millimeters, 0.2 centimeters, so that's 2 millimeters. So I add this column up, and I get my height and my width. And then for the upper tray, I'm going to add an additional 12 millimeters and 6 millimeters, and I get these numbers. Now, I'm going to add some velvet to the pieces. So I added 2 millimeters on each for the height of the upper trays. And that way, I'm probably going to have to, I should add them to the lower tray too. Now that I think about it, so this needs to be 472, and this needs to be 332. There we go. Because I'm going to add velvet. So I don't know if I'm going to add green. I think it's going to end up being a blue velvet inside this case. But it's roughly 2 millimeters thick once you wrap it around. And so that's what I'm adding. Okay, so I'm going to lay out the lower tray and the upper tray and get them cut and get them ready for the case. Now, this is a barrier board, so I'm going to be writing on the gray side. This is all going to get covered or glued down, so I'm not necessarily concerned about the marks. The grain direction is long. You flex this, it flexes really easy that way. It does not want to flex this way. And I've already checked this, both boards are the same. Grain direction, nice, easy flex that way. Does not want to flex this way at all. And I'm sure you couldn't necessarily see it. I can feel the tension. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my glasses for one. I don't know about you, but I work in these all day. I end up getting fingerprints and goop and guck. And this is a cheater pair. It's just, I think it's like a 2-time multiplier or 1.8 or whatever they are. My regular glasses broke, so I Harry Pottered the arm. What's that spell? Oculus Reparo or something like that? I switch between them until the tape falls off and we get frustrated. All right. I'm going to grab a blade because I very much prefer to measure and cut with a knife. So I'm going to come in here, and so my lower tray, I'm going to move this for a moment. So my lower tray, the height is going to be 472. So I'm going to mark this at 4. going to make me get a pencil because I don't want to cut too deep into that. Got a sharp one here. And I hate the lighting in here because I cannot see that mark. Save my life. Alright, so I'm just going to put a dot. Or not. None of my writing utensils want to work. Alright, so there's 4. And what did I say? 472. So I'm going to come up here. 71, 72. Okay, so there's that. Okay, this blade needs changed. Alright, so let's get a better blade. Alright, there's a fresh one. So that was my height, 472. And then my width is going to be 332. Now, not long enough. 12-year-old me wanted to make a really bad joke there. All right. Okay, so I'm going to stop trying to write with that. Lower tray right there. And I'm going to set this aside. And upper tray. There we go, we got an upper tray. Alright, so my upper tray, I took that 472, I added 12, I got the 482, but it's going to be 484 because we added 2 for the velvet. So again, let's go the right direction because we're doing the height. So we're going to do 100, and then we're going to go 84. Double check that. Okay, that's the mark I want. So when I get done with this live session, I will post a link to the Cornell document that I've mentioned, because I think it's going to be kind of hard to visualize what's going on here until you can see that. So my width is going to be 338. So 338. That's 380. 330. I know Darren has a really cool board with squares and all kinds of stuff, and I really appreciate what he does with all that. I have a board shear that I normally use, but it's in the other room, and I don't really have a way of running the cameras effectively in there. So I trust my eye and my hand to stay steady. I hope I don't mess up. Alright, so let's take a look at, you should be pretty dang close. Oh, I hope I did that right. Big thing worried about messing up on camera. Alright, so lower tray height is 472. So it's 4. And okay, got that one right. And then my width is 332. My width hair over. So I need to shave off. Shave off, eh? Fooled you? No, it's take off, eh? Alright, so let's do this. No. Fudge me. There we go. There's that. The lower tray. I just want to get these all measured out and correct. So my height. Yeah, cut off my marks. So 400, and then it should be 84. Spot on. And then my width is 338. Spot on. Okay, there's that. I'll find out I needed that 2 millimeters. So this one here I have marked lower tray. This one here I'm going to mark upper tray. And if you were making multiple boxes at the same time, you would really want to mark which product this was being made for. All right. So, if I remember things correctly, I need to measure the thickness of the book and the thickness of the book all the way around. So I really, thickness of the book 94. And when I cut this, I don't want to go all the way through. I just want to score that. So you may ask why I'm going to mark it with the marker, why I do this cut. And it's mainly because the marker is to help me see where the line is, but the line is a very exact measurement. Okay, I want to do the other side first. See what I'm doing. Find my other, there it is. That's interesting. All right. So now I'm going to take these corners out. Up there. It's okay. Bookbinders make mistakes. They're people. Unfortunately, I do not have more material. I might somewhere, but I think I'm pretty low on this particular board. So if I mess this up, I'm going to wait a few days because I have to order more. And quite frankly, I'd rather not do that. So now, that can be bent up, that can be bent up, and that can be bent up. And glue that out just like that. And there, part of the tray. I'll do all the gluing at once. There's no point in... All right. So the upper tray, we're going to do the same thing where we're going to come in So how many of you out there have those magnetic corner, the things that help you shape your corners? I do not own those. Bookbinding makes a really nice set, I think, of magnetic corners. I have their for trimming your leather corners or your paper, your cover art. I have their little corner triangle things. I may at some point break down and pick up this blade's about had it. It's super short. I'm not a fan of that ruler because it doesn't have the felt on it, and I tend to slide. So, I know there's a couple different ways of going about this. You can use tape to hold it in place. I just hold it in place for a few minutes and then I'll show you what reinforces this. I don't know if I took that out of your picture, I'm sorry. Set this up a second. And I don't want to put a heavy weight on it, but I do want a little bit of, oh, I know what I got. So I'm going to set this back over here. basically just tipped on there, and I'm going to get a water jar for the paintbrush, the glue brush. Side so it's not in the spilling area. Alright, we go a little different view for a minute. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is when I get the Bible itself off of my bench. Cap on this because it's going to go dry. All my pens are like a decade old, so the fact that they're even thinking about working is very surprising to me. Sit these guys back here for a minute while they're drying. Okay, this is going to be fun because I need to get something out of the drawer and the camera is leaning up against it. There we go. Alright, so this is a 20-point folder stock. I suppose if you wanted to, you could use a 10-point. I want it to be a little bit stiffer, almost as if this is like a double wall. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to measure the height of the tray, which is 94. And I'll need my blade again. Yeah, make me get yet another knife. All my knives are down to the last nub. Well, I guess I should show you. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to measure a strip to go all the way around. So I need to take this and, yeah, it was 94, right? Yeah. So mark there. And just for the record, I don't know if you can tell on the screen or not, I'm actually measuring out 95, and I did that for the boards too. I make little adjustments throughout the project, and now I'm going to need like more than one per, because these are so long. That's okay. Somebody just came in. I am live. That was for my wife's benefit, not necessarily yours. There is something on the counter for you. I got to treat myself to the bakery on 5th and some Turkish coffee and a pastry that I can't pronounce. And so I brought my wife home a honey cake. Not the whole cake, just a slice of it, but it's a pretty big slice. I would like a bite of that, if I could. When you're having yours. That's fine. All right. All right. So you guys got to watch that from my backside, didn't you? Nothing too complicated. I wonder why it's not showing up. That's bizarre. Okay. So, what we're going to end up doing here, I'm pretty sure I'm going to switch cameras for this. That way you can see what's going on. But I need to score and fold this folder stock around. So I'm going to grab myself handy dandy foam folder. I've got one that I've been using for scoring, so bring that out. Alright, so what I've been doing, I'm going to line this up as close as possible. I want to get a nice, healthy score. Because what I want to do, I'm going to bring this around. Bring this end up. solid crease, because I'm going to push that into the corner, and with it in place, I'm going to score this side. And it's going to come most of the way up. You can see I'm going to have a little bit offset there, and that's okay. So let's take this. You don't necessarily need a bone folder for this, because like I said, you don't want a hard score, but you do want a decent one. So, boom. All right. So I'm going to set this over here for a moment, and bring another piece here. Now I'm going to repeat this process. So I'm going to get this all lined up. What was I looking at? That's what I was looking at. Why don't you guys tell me I was doing that? That's ridiculous. All right. It's all right. It's fixable. Yeah, that's something. All right, so I got this in place. Hold this down. Nice score. All right, it just means that the piece that I supplement this with will just be a little bit bigger. So might as well start off with this one. I'm going to wait until this is all glued out, and then I'll trim that off. So what I do need some paper to paste on. Looks like this is already seen some paste. That's all right. Actually, I'm not using a paste, I'm using a PVA. So, forgive my terminology. I want a nice even spread, but I don't want it too thick, so I'm going to push it on down the line and make sure that those we have a new neighbor. He's a couple, older couple. They'll be retiring in about 8 years, give or take. And they bought the house on the corner from us. So they're 2 doors down. And it was their put lots of pressure in here. So what I'm going to end up doing is putting these under weight for a bit. Let's see, I got some of my paper stuck to that board. Trim this off real quick. No, it's probably not best to do while it's wet, but it's not gone. Any chance? Nope. Close, but no cigars. Luckily, this is going to get covered with a cloth. I just don't want it to be noticeable through the cloth. It's getting weird using the bone folder on this side because I want to put the pressure on the other side. All right, so boards. I've got one that'll fit that. My smaller boards are in the garage. So I can do this. I'm going to put that there. Put some weights in here. See, I almost spilled that dang water. What a fool. All right. So this looks pretty good. All right. All right, so alternatively, I can put the adhesive on the board. Now, typically you're supposed to put it on the thinner material. I get that. Sometimes you just want to break the rules. Take that, put it all the way in. I know, you can't see what I'm doing, can you? I think the other way is better. Okay, blue everywhere. All right. Well, we're not going to do that again. Okay. So before I go any further, and I probably could have done this before I put the reinforcement strip on, is I'm going to make sure these fit together correctly. So, oh, all right. So, slightly looser than I would have preferred, but I also do not have the outer covering on, and we don't have the velvet in yet. So, they fit, they work. There's going to be velvet on the spine, which is going to shift this the way I wanted it to. So, I think we've got a winner, winner. Winner, winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So, I am going to need, and I'm just going to do this, that on there, I'm going to whack off a piece a little bit larger than we need, and the same thing with this one. Whack off a piece a little bit bigger than we need. All right. That's all you need to do. Nice little buttoned up join. Once the cloth is on there, no one will ever know. But it was there. All right, this guy. A little bit bigger though. Now, there's a couple different ways you can go about this. I could have cut this in a way so the seam was in the back. I don't see a problem with the seam being right here on the side as long as I have everything all butted up. Go upper and lower tray. Make sure that this is all. It's about 2:14, but I'm feeling a little bit peckish, I think is the term that I want to use, my friends. So if you know me, you know that I'm diabetic, and when my body tells me it's time to shut down and eat, I need to go do that. So this is what I'm going to do. I know you guys have tuned in. We've started the clamshell case. When I continue this later on today, I will do another live session later on today to continue this case. And what I may end up doing is to finish the case, I may do a live session tomorrow. And this is all in addition to whatever I'm going to do on Sunday. Because I want you guys to have this case pretty much start to finish. While this isn't necessarily a tutorial, you can see the process. What I will do before I start the next session is I will attach the, I'll send you the link. I'll put the link it'll be in the first comment to the PDF document. I don't want to attach it to my account. I may have already done that in a previous post, but yeah, I think for copyright and that kind of thing, the respect for Cornell and their conservation department, I will put the link to the PDF. That way you can just go get it, download it yourself. Great tool, highly recommend it. So for you guys that are watching on Patreon, it'll be there in an hour or two. Same thing if you're watching this on YouTube, which is not public yet, but when it does go public, the link will be in the my first comment. So, okay. This is Edward Kranz, Honey Badger Binder BookForge. This has been BookForge Live. I apologize for cutting it short. I'm just not feeling well. I will do another live session for at least an hour, maybe two, while I cut the cloth, put cloth on these. I got to cut the outer boards, cut the cloth for that. And then I think what I'll do is I'll let that dry overnight, and then tomorrow we'll put the whole thing together. I'll do another live session probably about 1 o'clock. Yeah. So I think that's what we're going to do. So tune in a little bit later on today for the next live session, and we'll continue this little project. Until then, thank you very much.